everyone. Welcome to Eat Well, Be Happy. I'm Deborah.
I'm Jeff.
And we are back in the kitchen again. We're making 3 recipes that we really love, and we hope you'll love them too. We're making sesame corn crisp, and this is a recipe that I grew up with as a little girl. We're going to be making a salad ready for spring with cultured vegetables, with baby kale. And what else are we making?
We're going to be making Tex-Mex burgers.
Tex-Mex
grass-fed
burgers.
beef.
So that means we get to play with our hands a lot today, and we're going to get to put our thumbs in the burgers and mix the salad, and you can do that at home too. So let's start.
Why not?
We're going to start with the sesame corn crisps. And crisps, it's a lot of fun to say the word crisps, so that's a good reason for making a lot of S's. And the ingredients are so simple. It's the first recipe I learned to make as a little girl, and it's just a no-brainer. And when you make crackers for company, they always think that they go gaga. They think you've gone above and beyond the call of duty.
Most people don't make crackers. They just get them from boxes.
I know, that's true. So this one has very simple. It has a cup of cornmeal, and I usually use coarse cornmeal, but told Jeff all I had was fine cornmeal at home, and it does act differently. It doesn't absorb the liquid as much, but it just goes to show you can do anything. It's all good. So we're using 1 cup of cornmeal, organic.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, because that's what we're all about, and that's what we want you to be about. Certainly, you don't want to have genetically grown corn, and about 90% of the corn in this country is currently genetically modified. Why not genetically modified? For me, we're not a science experiment, and I don't want you to be a science experiment either. For me, there are just too many unknowns about genetic modification. We do know that it's affecting people's digestive tract and causing problems and increasing allergies. So stay away from genetically modified corn.
Corn is one thing that you need to be particularly careful about that, because so much of it is genetically modified.
Speaks the voice of wisdom here. Pay attention.
Well, you just said that. I'm just parroting.
Well, so see, he's so smart. And then you're going to use a cup of a whole, unhulled brown sesame seed. And you can see that these are a little darker than the white ones most people get in the supermarket. Why do you want to use a sesame seed with hulls? It's really simple. Per 2 tablespoons of a whole, unhulled sesame seed, you're getting 1/3 your daily requirement of magnesium, which regulates your heartbeat, relaxes your muscles. You're probably sick of hearing me say this. And you're getting 1/3 your daily requirement of calcium in a form that your body can absorb. Once they take these darn little hulls off, we have no magnesium and 2% calcium. So you're worth it. The price is less, and you get more bang for your buck. All right, so we've got in this bowl here, we've got a cup of cornmeal. We've got a cup of the brown sesame seeds. We've got a teaspoon of good salt and 1 cup of boiling water, and then a little drizzle of olive oil. And you can use another oil if you like, but we love olive oil. It gives that sort of complex flavor. All right.
The boiling water in this recipe just kind of helps the cornmeal to absorb some of the liquid a little more quickly and thoroughly than cold water.
As always, Jeff, pours around very lovely, and I just do a dump. Different styles, different strokes for different folks. So what's your style at home? I don't know. All right, so then we just mix it.
I was just being lazy and trying to do some of the mixing with the water.
You were not. And then you can take any cookie sheet, any baking pan you like. I happen to love these enamel-coated steel paella pans. I find them really easy to clean and really easy to bake. And we're just going to spray it. We're going to use a little of a liquid lecithin mixture. And you can make your own by just taking a jar and putting half liquid lecithin and half any kind of oil and keeping it in a jar in the cupboard, which is what my mother used to do, and taking a pastry brush. But we're taking the easy way out today.
We're doing the 21st century style.
We're doing the 21st century style. And lecithin is one of those things that keeps anything from sticking. So it's the best anti-stick stuff there is. And lecithin comes from 2 sources, from either egg yolks or from soy, and this is from soy. All right, so that actually absorbed the water a little bit better than my batch yesterday.
I imagine if you let it sit, it would probably...
But I did let it sit.
Well, okay. I didn't mean to.
No,
Didn't
just
mean to
saying,
challenge your corn crisp
It
expertise.
just, it wouldn't do, it wouldn't behave itself yesterday. So again, I just plop these, and you'll see a difference in style. So I'm just going to plop. Now watch, Jeff.
It's under the gun now.
Oh, see, he's a pretty good
That's
plopper.
a pretty good plop, yeah.
Yeah, but a little too thick.
A little too thick. Well, we can always smooth them out.
Yeah, so
There you are.
very nice, Jeff, very nice. And our oven has been preheating at 400.
And these don't take very long at all, do they?
No. So you can see if you were making this recipe and not being distracted by your lovely cells, it really is a 5-minute recipe to make and get into the oven. And if you want to make it for a crowd, just double the recipe or triple the recipe and just have lots of sheets going into the oven. But they really are wonderful. And when you taste one, you will agree. It's one of those recipes that looks very nondescript. And I find some of the best recipes are the simplest, the most nondescript, homey looking ones.
Mm-hmm. And the corn and sesame is just a great combination.
Really. See, I messed you up there. I'm a little too.
All right.
You can be able to fit in that last bit.
I bet I can. Oops. Okay.
Oh, well, we can add a little bit. See, we're just trying to use it up.
And so we did.
All right. So you're going to take that to the oven. And this is going to stay in a 400-degree oven for just until you can scoot them around with your finger and they're a little brown around the edges. You can see a little brown around the edges. And it depends on your oven, it depends on the temperature, it depends on your altitude. But it's usually about 20 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes. All right. Shall we move on to?
On we go.
All right.
To
So
our
we're
sumac goat cheese salad.
yeah. So we are going to do a salad, which we think is really lovely for spring. And if you don't like baby kale, and this one doesn't look so baby to me. He's already stealing the food, stealing the food out of your mouths. This one doesn't look so baby to me. The pieces are a little bit big. And had I thought ahead, I probably would have chopped it. I like to eat. I like my salad greens to be able to fit in a fork and go into my mouth easily without, dangling out or making me look like a fool. But in any case, there we have it. All right, so we have here about, would you say, probably about 4 cups of baby greens of some sort. We've done kale. I'm going to cut the cucumbers, so 1 English cucumber. And Jeff, do you want to cut the onions or celery next?
Can I cut them both?
Oh,
Do I have to
you can.
choose?
No, you don't have to choose. So we're going to be putting in the ingredients and telling you what we're putting in and when we're putting it in. And I just want to say that we're going to be using cultured vegetables in the salad. And there are so many wonderful cultured vegetables everywhere in the country right now. And they're cultured beets, they're cultured carrots. It's like making yogurt, except they do it with vegetables. So you have all the probiotics and you have the enzymes there. And you really have something that does your gut and does your body good. So you can take probiotics or you can have a spoonful of cultured vegetables every day. All right, so I'm just going to take the English cucumber and just quarter it lengthwise.
Why is it that we like English cucumbers, Debbie?
I like English cucumbers because they're, even though it looks like they have these humongous seeds, I just find it easier on the digestive system. And they actually sometimes call it burpless cucumbers.
They do, don't they?
They do. So I've quartered it lengthwise and then I'm just going to slice it. And I do love to use my cleaver. I know that's not so orthodox, but I do that because then I can also use it as a scooper.
I'm over here using my hands as a scooper because I prefer the pointy knife. Also known as a chef's knife.
And I love English cucumbers as well because the skin is more tender and they're never waxed, as are many cucumbers in this country. And of course, everything we're using is organic. I've always felt that organic was certainly better for our farmers and certainly better for our environment. And I always felt it had to be better for us. And I'm really happy to say that even in the last year, in the last few months, more and more studies are coming out that are saying that really organic has much higher antioxidant values. And you know what antioxidants are. Those are those things that keep your cells from rusting prematurely. All right, so we've got in here, we've got about 4 cups of greens. We've got in there about a small red onion chopped, 3, what do they call those? Stalks. Thank you.
That's what I call them.
3 stalks of celery. Jeff is already nibbling on them. And then we're going to be using 4 cloves of garlic. Where's our little garlic squeezer? My little Roselle garlic squeezer, which I think of all the things I have in my kitchen, I'm most madly in love with it because it's so easy on the wrist and just does such a nice job. All right, so those were tiny little cloves, so I'm using another few more. And if you don't love garlic, you can leave it out. If you really love garlic, add more.
Who doesn't love garlic?
And we are going to be putting in there now, where's our cultured vegetables?
Our cultured vegetables are right here.
All right. And what else are we putting in
We're
this?
also going to shred a couple of beets and put those in there as well.
Now if you know us, you know we love beets. Not everybody grew up with beets, and some people only grew up with the canned beets. But the reason we love beets is they actually enrich the blood, they add detox, they if you're iron deficient, they help with that. What are some of the other things we love beets about?
They're sweet, they have an earthy taste, they have a vibrant color.
Definitely. And they also are studies showing that beets actually lower blood pressure. So if you have high blood pressure, I can tell you want to make noise. Go ahead.
May
You may.
Done.
Did you notice we didn't peel those beets? So it's much less time in the kitchen, much less effort. Don't peel, just scrub your things. And then, oh, this is going to turn the salad bright red, isn't it? This is going to turn the salad red, Jeff. It's going to change the whole visual component of that. So you can see, you can change this. If you don't like beets, just leave it out. And I'm now going to be putting in about a cup of the cultured vegetables. And this one happens to be horseradish leeks, so it's a little bit on the spicy side.
Horseradish leek.
All right, we got our garlic in there, and then we're going to put in, I think we're going to, usually I would put in a bunch of diced parsley, and I think we're going to skip that because we have so many greens here with the kale. And if I do mix this with my hands are going to get red. Should I do that and live dangerously?
I think you should.
And what else? Olive oil we need in here too, right?
A bit of olive oil, which is.
Okay. So we want about a half a cup of olive oil. That one is open if you want to use, oh.
They're both open.
They're both open now. All right, this is a nice olive oil from Israel. You want to do that so we can see about a half a cup. Fine. Make sure your olive oil is genuine. There's just so much junk olive oil out there that isn't even really olive oil. Some of it is what they call lampante olive oil, which is not fit for human consumption. What else are we putting in here, Jeff?
How about some sumac?
Sumac.
Tell us about sumac, because a lot of us don't know a whole lot about it.
Well, I used to think that we had to, that all American sumac was poisonous, and it turns out that's not true. This is a Middle Eastern sumac, and it's used in the Middle East to flavor just everything from A to Z, from chicken to fish to salads to yogurt to bread with olive oil that is roasted. And it's used a lot because it is antimicrobial, I couldn't get that out, and antibacterial. And it has, what kind of flavor would you say it has?
Well, it's a difficult flavor to describe, isn't it?
So smell it and tell me what it smells like for you.
It's a little bit, well,
A little citrusy.
a little citrusy,
Yeah.
a little bit nutty,
Yeah.
and very aromatic.
So we need, oh, my hands are going to be just gorgeous. All right, so we need about a teaspoon of sumac, or tablespoon. You can
That's half
see.
a tablespoon.
That's half.
There's the other half.
All right, so that much sumac, and then we're also going to be putting in some brewer's yeast for flavor. And I grew up with brewer's yeast, got away from it. I'm trying to get back to it. It's also called nutritional yeast. So we're going to do about 2 tablespoons.
Okay.
Just-
Just sprinkle it right in
Just
there.
dump it.
And a lot of vegan recipes will use this as sort of a cheese-like sprinkle.
Yes, I'm just watching how you're so carefully going.
I'm trying to give you a break with your mixing. There.
All right, brewer's yeast. Do you think this needs a little bit, we needs lemon juice now too. So we want about 1/4 cup of lemon juice.
Which is about...
Fine. Thank you very much. But I was going to ask whether you thought this needed a little bit more olive oil, but maybe not. And then, I might not have mixed it thoroughly, we're going to take this and we're going to garnish it and finish it off with some goat cheese, which you can or don't have to. Goat cheese is more absorbable for us humans. We handle it better than cow's milk cheese. So a lot of people can't do cow's milk cheese, do fine with goat cheese. And the other thing I love about it is just the creamy texture. Should we just
Just
put that
sprinkle
around
some
in the,
around there?
how about in
Yeah.
the center? And then we, I'm gonna wash my hands. Anything else we want to say about the salad, other than the fact it's gonna help digestion and all kinds of stuff?
It definitely has a unique taste with the sumac in it.
Yeah?
Without a doubt, when you eat this, it has a certain, I believe what the French call it, je ne sais quoi. And it's just really good as like a summer salad. If you're having a cookout with something like, say, Tex-Mex burgers.
Oh, which we're gonna do next. All right, I'm gonna put the salad here, so it's kind of out of our way. You know, we forgot to say when we were making the sesame crisp, is that recipe is in our first and our third cookbook. Would you hold up that third cookbook?
I will do that.
And I can't remember whether the recipe is on page 22, but it's somewhere. And hold that book up.
That's the one we're
So
talking about.
this cookbook.
Our
You're
most
gonna do
recent.
you're gonna do a Vanna White now thing? This cookbook has the corn crisp recipe, and once you taste them, you will make them all the time for your company or for yourself. All right, so we're gonna do the burgers.
We are. Deborah was nice enough to have already prepared a few of these.
Well, not cooked, but I've kind of rolled them. Well, let's. You notice how we're dancing around each other there? So I also ground this meat, which is something you can do. I bought some meat that was way too tough, and I decided I didn't want it to go to waste, and I don't happen to like stew. I just don't like stew. So I took my food processor with my steel blade, and I just chopped it up and made hamburger. So that's why we're having Tex-Mex burgers today. And so our ingredients in here, let's get this little skillet a-going there. All right, we're gonna heat that up. And you can obviously make these in the oven or in a electric skillet or
Or a grill even.
or a grill. But we are inside here. It's after all New England, and although it's April, it's still not as warm as it should be. All right, so we have here 2 pounds of, do you want some oil in there, Jeff?
I would love some. I'm just going to check our crisps really quickly.
Okay, so we have here about 2 pounds of grass-fed beef, and we're going to mix up another batch in front of you. Actually, shall I do the mixing while you do the cooking?
Why not? Do
All
you
right.
generally flip these, Deborah? Or-
No,
Okay.
never flip them.
Okay, so let's have a few more minutes.
So we never flip the corn crisps. So 2 pounds of grass-fed beef, and you definitely want grass-fed because it has, in addition to it being a lot more pleasant for the cows to be out in the fields, you're getting a lot more of something called CLA, conjugated linoleic acid. So 2 pounds of beef.
And before we get too carried away, do
Yeah.
we have a spatula nearby?
Oh, yes, we do.
Great.
But I did forget to give it to you. All right.
Great. Thank you, Deborah.
So 2 pounds of beef, and about, you can tell this meal is not a vegan meal by any means, and I apologize to our vegetarian and vegan friends. We'll have another show for you, I promise. And I'm using a duck egg, one of our local farms. This actually happens to be Drumlin Farms, called us and said they had a lot of duck eggs.
Oh, wow.
So we have them in the store right now, but duck eggs, so there's a duck egg. And naturally I'm saving this eggshell for my compost and for my garden outside because it'll enrich the soil with minerals too. So we've got that, and I want about a teaspoon of salt. And I'm going to be using, this is a Himalayan pink salt. But make sure your salt is good salt. And by that I mean it has all the minerals, isn't, just the plain old NaC or whatever, the NaCl, the dead white salt. All right, so we've got our 2 pounds of grass beef, our teaspoon of salt. We're going to be adding some garlic. My mother always used to make her hamburgers round, and then with just the thumb in the middle.
Okay.
But they cook better this way, don't they? All right.
Yeah, they cook a little quicker, a little more evenly if they're flatter. And I mean, if you're cooking inside like this, you can even finish them in the oven if you need to. But
yeah.
If you're really pressed for
So
time.
what do you think? 2 minutes per side, 4 minutes per side?
I would say 4 minutes per side, definitely. Those are starting to get nice. See if I can show you one of these.
All right.
Getting a nice little bit of char on there.
So in our 2 pounds of grass-fed beef and our 1 teaspoon of salt, our about 2 tablespoons of garlic, I'm going to use about 1/4 cup of salsa. It's just a nice, you can use tomato paste, you can use tomato sauce. I'm just using some salsa. I think I used a little more than 1/4 cup, but who cares? And an egg, and then I'm going to be using a little bit of psyllium husk, and I'm using that not only as a binder, but to give it more fiber. Growing up, my mother always used to use rice bran, but rice bran is hard to get right now. So I'm using psyllium husk, about 1/4 cup. Oh, you know what I forgot to put in here is black pepper.
Well, I can help you with that.
Thank you. So about a teaspoon of black pepper. And once again, untouched by human hands. So we had a letter from Mrs. Ophelia Dinkelhofer last week, who was asking how she could get her son Otis to eat anything besides hamburgers. So we said, well, there's nothing wrong with hamburgers as long as you're using, good meat. And why don't you then try and serve it with a salad maybe he hasn't tried before, or crackers he hasn't tried before. And they tell you not to overmix your meat. I'm afraid I always overmix it. I just don't have the knack of getting it. All right. So you could then leave this in your refrigerator for 30 minutes, overnight, however, and it'll firm up, and the psyllium husk will absorb the moisture, hold it in the burger. Can I just add to your little plate there?
Those are probably about ready to come out of the oven now.
All right. And I like my hamburgers rare. Are those ready to come off?
Those are certainly rare. We can pull those off and throw on another round.
Are they done enough?
Those are far too rare.
All right.
If you want, we can throw these in the oven and we can throw a few more in here.
Okay.
It's an option.
Well, or we can just sort of muddle along here as we are. Actually, let me get a tray. Let's do them in the oven.
Why not?
I do want to show you, remember how I said these are done when you can scoot them around with your finger? Well, you can't scoot these around with your finger because they were too thin and too moist. So that's what happens when you use a fine cornmeal. It's all okay, but just don't believe me, and don't try and scoot these with your finger. No, don't you do that.
Thought I could prove you wrong, but I couldn't.
No. But you can see they have color on the bottom, and that's
really
what you
good.
want, yeah. And they'll taste great. I don't think we grease this pan quite enough. But
Live and learn.
what you do want to do for sure is you want to get these moving and off here when the pan is, when they're still warm. Because if you waited for these to be cool, and I'm having a hard time, how'd you like to get that bowl out of there?
How do we do that?
All right. I just know that's an accident waiting to happen. All right. So Jeff,
Yes.
we've kind of got to get our act together here and dish some food out. We've got to get some food on a plate for you because we know you're hungry. And if I were finishing this meal, say I don't think hamburgers always need a bun. I like buns, but I always think of that as more picnicky type of stuff. Oh, come on, you. So if I were finishing this meal, here we have corn crackers, we have guacamole, we have burgers, we have a salad that has some goat cheese. That's a fairly hearty meal.
And gluten-free.
That's true, Jeff.
How about that? It's so easy to do gluten-free, you don't even know you're doing it.
What would you finish this meal off with for dessert, mister?
Oh my goodness, you're putting me on the spot.
Yeah.
For dessert with a meal like this, the first thing that jumped to my mind is strawberry shortcake. But there goes gluten-free right there. Although we do have gluten-free cakes that we can use for that.
I will say that when I was growing up, the only time we had cake or cookies for dessert or ice cream is when we had company. Otherwise, dessert in my family was always fruit,
There you go.
fresh fruit. So there you have it. All right, let's just see. So you want to let these cool actually before you stack them and put them on a plate, but we'll. Jeff, would you like to try one?
I would love to. And brava, you did not break a single one.
Well, tell me whether you think that tastes as good as the crackers with the coarse cornmeal.
I think it does.
Okay, so there you have it. You just need to adapt when you're doing it with fine cornmeal. All right, so do we want to put something on a plate? I think we should,
think
and
we
then we
better.
think, here.
Let me move it.
See, if Jeff had said he wanted ice cream for dessert, I have some in the freezer, but he didn't.
Oh, gee whiz.
He doesn't get any. All right, so here's some salad.
Had to shoot for the moon with the strawberry shortcake.
You gonna put a burger on there?
Let's do that.
And we'll put a corn cracker on there just for kind of appearances. All right. So, not a meal that you're used to having. I'm sure most of you would like to see a bun there for the burger, and yes, you could do that too. Just make sure it's whole grain. We have tried to make 3 dishes that we think are really easy, delicious, and will do you and yours a world of good. So come on over for lunch to our house next time. Jeff and I have had a lot of fun. So we've made corn crisps, corn sesame crackers, with a cultured vegetable salad and a grass-fed burger.
And these go great with guacamole.
They really do. So from Deborah,
And Jeff?
come see us again next time. And remember, we want you to eat well and be happy.
Mm-hmm.